Open house. Nothing. Excellent, excellent. You ready to get started? I mean, down there?
Stream is live and we are ready to go.
Perfect. Presentation.
Exactly.
All right, with no further delay, just set a couple quick ground rules for this. So this is an open house experience today. So the idea behind it is to have a 30-minute presentation, roughly, a little bit of background about it, a little bit about where we're at, where the plan sets are at. I'm Michael Woods. I'm the Public Works and Engineering Director. This is Todd Chandler from Great River Engineering, and so he's got his staff here along with architects too, so from Kinetic, which is very nice for them. We're going to go over a little bit of the background of how we got to today and then where we're headed, and we're at 50% plan, so we're sharing that with you. The real goal of this project is to get it up and off the ground and built in a year, so we're going to hit pretty close to that. So we'll do a little bit of a timeline for you so you truly understand where we're at, and we'll get through the presentation at the end. If you do have any comments, you have to come up to the podium, state your name, and put it in since we are recording and live streaming. So if anybody else wants to come, they can. So with that being said, thanks for coming out. We worked pretty hard to try to get the word out the best we could through radio, TV. I also went to a lot of different businesses, so thanks for coming. Lots of acknowledgments that are here. What's important to realize is that the final historic downtown Branson streetscape master plan is what we used. I am super thankful for all the people that were involved that basically wrote the game book for this. Inside it had all the different phases, all the different options, from a Cadillac to alternatives to low to high, and it really helped us create the scope that we're going to work on today. There are a lot of people that are here, or some of them are out in the hall, that were in the original steering committee, so they've been involved in this ever since the very beginning. So Chris Bohink, I saw her around, Steve Hartley, our own staff, Cheryl's still here, Wayne Glenn is back there. He was a project manager on the other phases and will be the project manager on this, so he's highly involved already too, and we're super thankful for that. There's a picture of some of the people, but again, they're out in the hall, so we appreciate all the work that's there. It's some that have come and gone, or other names that you still see in the community. So they really did give us the great floor plan for this. Engineering work to be provided, this was put out, and we kind of did the assessment needs of all the different items that were going to be needed along the streetscape part, and we'll go over the whole area of that. Kind of the one thing that got added on that wasn't originally on there as an alternative is number 16, which is Albury restroom. So we're working through some designs on that and trying to make something that updates it. We were blessed with a little bit of remodel money that Cindy Shook and Chris Bohink's group, they got together and put their heads together and did a really nice remodel. So it was a great Band-Aid, and it happened right after we had released this. So timing couldn't have been better, but it is a great Band-Aid to help us get to this point. We'll see how that bids out. What's very interesting is it's a lot of assessment and design of sidewalks, curbs, ramps, and ADA. As you walk downtown or move around downtown, you realize there are a lot of issues that are down there. Electric street lighting, conduit runs. The other one that a lot of people have brought up, and it was in the master plan, is the traffic signal of Business 65 in Maine. That traffic signal, a lot of people don't know, and we're trying to get the word out, is owned by MoDOT. We approached MoDOT, or I approached MoDOT ahead of this project, asking if we could come in cooperation together and get it all done at once. Unfortunately, the way grants and funding work, they're about a year behind us. But Todd's group has been directed to meet with MoDOT, so all the pieces are in there and ready to go, and we have a great working relationship for them. Design of stormwater improvements and conveyance, landscaping, and Todd will go through quite a different parts of that. So what has the city done to get us to this point today? Starting in January of 2024, we put out a request for qualifications. That went out for 30 days and came back roughly in February. CJW, Cochrane, CFS, GBA, and Great River all put in. We are super thankful for the people that are sitting in this room today. It was not only the 6 city staff along with Wayne and Cheryl, so that put us at 8, But Mr. Steve Hartley, Chris Bohink, and Brandy also came in and scored with us. And exciting to say, the gentleman standing next to me from Great River Engineering was chosen for the project. So they got out and got working right away, almost ahead of the contract, and made sure that surveying got done. So that's the work that started to create the buzz as we started to work. Surveying is a big part of this project. I wanted to take and show you a picture of 7.3, which is the middle of the road, is what the process that you have been working on for quite a while. In those sections, although it didn't really say exactly the phasing in it, we picked up Main Street all the way down to Sycamore on this phase. The other thing I wanted to highlight is there's lots of misconceptions, and I'm newer to this department too, about how much money has been spent on the project, how long the project's been going on. So I wanted to take just a split second to talk about that. And as you see up on this board that's here, you can see when the notice to proceed versus the completion was. So the original master plan was $884,980. So that's the book that we're working off today and is well written and well laid out. And again, we are super thankful for that. The completion. Then what you see is you see design, streetscape of one, and then construction. So you see these teeter-tottering that's going on there. The teeter-tottering is because it takes roughly a year to get plans. What we've done differently in this version is we've set a timeline of 1 year from design, inception, to completion. So it's a very fast paced, and so lots of these meetings will go rather quickly, but our reason or ability to do that is because you have a lot of the decisions already made, and we're matching what's already there. The other consideration I wanted to point out for that is the grand total project to date is $11 million, just about $12 million. The original construction estimate for all 5 phases was $9.7 million. Construction of 1 through 3, and we're going on 4 now, is at 9.7. You have to remember that those construction estimates were also done pre-COVID and pre the inflation that you see today. As we all know, if you go out and buy a 2x4, at one moment was $8. It's back down to around 2 or 3, but we use a little bit of 2x4, but concrete also is no longer $88 a cubic yard, but more like $158 a cubic yard just for it without the labor. Labor has, in some instances, been 3 to 4 times higher than it was previously because a lot of people during COVID left those industries and haven't come back. With that being said, I'm, again, Wayne Glenn's back there. Cheryl's probably out, Cheryl's over there. Cindy Shook was Parks Director. She was part of the steering committee also, and we are super thankful that got there. Todd, this is your show going forward from here, and he'll give you a little bit of agenda and go from there. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I've got to adjust this because I'm a little shorter than Michael. So, but the first thing I'd like to say is I'd like to reach out and just thank you, everybody, the residents of Branson, city staff, aldermen, mayor as well, just for allowing us to have the opportunity to work on this really transformative project. Our team is very excited. Like Michael said, we started survey even before we had a contract, knowing the schedule was very aggressive. And so we've continued to keep the pedal down on the project to try to accomplish the schedule and get this built so the impact is minimal to the business owners. Looking through the agenda on the presentation, Michael's covered some of the information already. I'd like to introduce my team with Great River, review the project goals, which Michael's touched on as well, discuss the overall program, the scope of the current phase, where we're at on the design side, because we're really just a month into the design. Look at the schedule, the upcoming schedule on both the design and construction side, as well as get into any open discussion. What we'll do is, since this is basically an open house style public meeting, we'll kind of gather around some of the exhibits if you have questions, and certainly we'll address any questions and incorporate comments for the rest of the design. As far as a lot of the everyday players that have been working with on the project from our end, I'd like to acknowledge just working with Michael. It's been great from our end. He's, I keep him up to speed on the project. I don't want him to have any surprises. He's the director of public works in the engineering side. Matt as well. We've worked a lot with Matt and Wayne Glenn on the project management side, and Cheryl as well. They're all very vital for the success of the project. And especially, working with Wayne and Cheryl, who have a lot of experience with the previous phases, because we want to keep up the relationships that we have there with the business owners as well. As far as Great River Engineering, Spencer Jones, he is not here tonight, but he's the principal and the owner of the firm. He started the firm back, I think, 26 years ago. We're about an 80-person firm based in Springfield, and we have a Branson office up at Branson Hills. And you'll see my staff up there. We've got about 11 people that work in that office. I'm Todd Chandler. I'm the Vice President of Development Services, and then also we work on a lot of municipal projects as well, all over. I mean, we're not limited to just Missouri. I love Branson because I'm based here. My kids go to school in Branson. I moved here about 8 years ago for the Highway 76 project, and I just fell in love with the area, the people, and having the opportunity to raise my kids down here has been priceless. We have David Lundstrom. He's kind of our technical leader. He works behind the scenes with a lot of the young engineers, the designers that are working on the projects, finishing the plans, addressing comments that both David and myself have. John McCart, he's associate project manager on this, kind of helping me because it is a fast-paced project and making sure that we're keeping everything communicated with the city staff. And then Jeremy Jackson, a lot of you may be familiar with her. She's working on the 76 project. On this project, she'll just be on the landscape architecture side, helping on the landscape plans as well as the irrigation plans. And then actually we have Ashley here from Kinetic and Max as well. So we're excited to have them. They're the architect on the project, primarily working on the design of the Auberry restroom. We also, on our team, we have RTM engineering consultants. They're providing the structural design, the MEP, and the site lighting. And then we also have a third-party cost estimator, Strategic Value Solutions, based out of Lee Summit. They're going to give us a third-party independent review of our plans to make sure we're staying within the program allowance on the budget, because Michael has sworn by me that we are going to deliver this project within the budget and on schedule. As far as just going to kind of touch on some of the overall components, the 2015 Streetscape Master Plan that was completed, obviously pre-COVID, the goals of it were really to improve pedestrian movement, also to improve vehicular movement, some of the turning movements for large vehicles, buses, semis, trolleys, just some of the things that we see every day in Branson. Also trying to use the project to help create some inviting areas for our guests, for our visitors to Branson, improve the overall visitor experience, make downtown relevant to where people want to come here. They go out of their way to come here to help businesses thrive in the community. And then also try to improve the utilization of the downtown parking as well. A goal of the project, and another one that I've sworn to not change, is keep the parking count where it's at and not a parking space less. So that's a main goal of the design team as well, while trying to make improvements to the existing downtown. Design elements that we're working with right now include looking at sidewalk widths, trying to provide for more width for an enjoyable experience, making sure the pedestrians feel safe. Because a lot of the traffic in that area is pedestrian traffic in a very close proximity to vehicles. Looking at the overall roadway width, trying to maximize that, because one thing we can't change is the spacing between the buildings. It's a set 80 feet for that corridor, so we only have so much room to work with. So we're trying to optimize that based on input provided previously with the master plan, and really some of the improvements to Commercial Street downtown, kind of build off of that momentum from those projects. Working with Cindy and the city on the landscape plant material, make sure that what we're recommending is something that's going to work and be easy to maintain for the city. She's gone through and recently replaced a lot of the landscaping downtown, and so we're taking that plant list and incorporating that into our design as well. Obviously, trying to make it more inviting by looking at both roadway and pedestrian lighting, as well as accent lighting. We'll touch on that too. Making sure we incorporate the memorial plaques. We had a meeting with Chris kind of a kickoff meeting to talk about the 52 plaques that are either some of them are still out there, some are in storage, but trying to figure out the best ideas for how do we can incorporate that to the downtown, especially with this being the most heavily traveled corridor on the Main Street portion of it, so trying to incorporate that. So we're welcome to any feedback that any of the business owners are willing to provide on that side of it as well. We talked about the Auberry restroom replacement, so you'll see some exhibits up here, kind of some ideas. These are not locked in stone by any means. I'm sure Ashley and Max are both here to take any comments, suggestions, ideas that you guys have as far as what you want to see in the restroom facilities. And then obviously one of the most critical things is how is this going to access my business? So we are working diligently to minimize issues for business owners. We know construction can be impactful, so we're working on construction staging, traffic control, sequencing, looking at that, trying to maintain both pedestrian and vehicular access throughout the duration of construction. And then obviously looking at the truck routes because Main Street's a major thoroughfare through Branson. Michael touched on the overall scope. So this slide basically just summarizes, this is part of an overall program. Phases 1 through 3 are completed. This is part of phase 4 with one more phase after this phase. And this is really the heart of the downtown work is the Main Street replacement. The overall project budget is $5,090,000. This is basically the all-in price that includes the consultant fees for design. It includes any utility relocations because sometimes the utility companies want to get paid to relocate the utilities. And every scenario is different, and it also includes the construction cost. And one thing that we always account for is a contingency for during construction because we know that there's going to be unknown utilities that get run into, items that come up during construction. So we're designing to make sure we account for a pretty hefty contingency on the project. The current project status, many of you have already seen the surveyors out there working in the field. They are done with the survey as far as the initial survey that's required for design. They will probably be out there during late phases of design to work on any requested temporary construction easements, potentially easements for utility companies if those are required. So you may see our surveyors as well. They're officed out of Branson, so they work all the time around this area. We will also, we've been working with the city on preliminary design. As Michael said, we just submitted recently 50% plans last week, and the city's currently reviewing that. It is a good time to have a public meeting so we can incorporate any comments that we receive, because we do value everybody's feedback. It's not just going into something that's going to be not even addressed. We will work closely with the city to address these comments. Basically summarize these comments, make sure they're documented for the future as well. We've already had our initial meeting with the utility companies, and actually, it's fingers crossed, there are no major utility relocations required, which is unusual when you're going right through the heart of a city. A lot of the major utilities are in the alleys and not necessarily under Main Street. So we do have that. It really reduces a lot of potential for project delays when you don't have these costly utility relocations. As Michael said, we do have a very aggressive schedule. We're basically trying to get this designed and built within a month or a year and a few days, really, from when we had our signed contract to when the project is going to be substantially complete. That is a very aggressive schedule, especially for a project like Main Street. Where we're at today is the initial public meeting. After this, we'll set up one-on-one meetings with each of the property owners to definitely understand what any concerns you have, to incorporate any questions you have or comments that you'd like to see. We will work in tandem. Those one-on-one meetings will always have somebody from Great River, a representative from the city of Branson, and we'll typically meet at your place of business because we feel those are the most effective types of meetings that we can look and address your concerns. So we'll be reaching out to all the property owners on an individual basis as well. We will be taking pre-construction photography of all your businesses along the front because we're going up with our improvements right to the face of the building. And we want to make sure that if there's issues, they're documented. We want to make sure that there's no issues with property owners having to argue with contractors. We want to have a good record of basically the overall condition of the front of your building because there will be contractors working. So if there's ever an issue, you can certainly reach out to myself or Michael at the city. We'll have a good documented record of that, including high-resolution photos of the front of your building. As far as one of the big items that we're going to be concerned with, and it's going to be, I'm sure, a very important topic that all the business owners are concerned about is the construction sequencing. How is this going to look? Are there going to be detours? Are we going to have pedestrian detours? Are people going to be able to access my building at all times? We're going to do as good as we can, knowing that we can't. We have a limit of means and methods with working with contractors. Ultimately, it's the contractor, but we can help set the expectations as far as what the minimum requirements are through our plan set. That way, all the contractors can bid the same documents. And then, as Michael said, we will coordinate with MoDOT. We have not met with MoDOT yet about this project, but our next goal is to set up a meeting with MoDOT to coordinate with their project that's currently in the planning phase for improving the signal at Veterans and Main Street. As far as the overall plan of the improvements, some of the improvements that you're going to see, and you'll see it shown up here through all the exhibits as well. We're looking at incorporating rest areas with benches where we can. A lot of these will be bump out areas on the end of the parking stalls, similar to what has been done on Commercial Street. There'll be some repairs. Some of the utility relocations have caused issues with the pavers at the intersection of Commercial and Main Street that was installed with the commercial project. So that was the Phase 3 project. What we're recommending and working through the city is replacing that with plain concrete or stamped integral color concrete. So it's options that we're looking at depending on the budget and where the overall construction cost is. The Auberry restroom replacement of the existing facility. There's simply not enough bathroom stalls there to accommodate some of the big loads of traffic that come all at the same time with the buses being dropped off. So we'll work with the architect on that and the city to come up with the ideal solution, and also we'll welcome any public owners, any of their feedback that you have, because you guys see this more than we do as far as guests that are using these restrooms. ADA is a critical component of this project. Unfortunately, we live in an area that's not flat, so that makes it difficult from an ADA perspective. But a lot of our guests that come to Branson have people that are in wheelchairs, so we need to make accommodations for them. And our goal is to get them safely into the front door of your business and to be compliant with ADA. So if you look at along Main Street, up by the corner of Veterans and Main Street, where there's a split sidewalk with a kind of a landing area that's a flat area out in front of the business on the corner, that's similar to what you'll see mainly between Sycamore and Commercial, because you've got severe grades on that section. The section between Veterans and Commercial is not nearly as steep, so we won't have that scenario as much on that section. But you'll see that in the exhibits as well. And then we will also make sure that we're incorporating the bus and the trolley stop as well. Keep that open and readily available for guests. This is what it looks like out there right now existing. A lot of the sidewalks are 9.5 feet, but everybody knows that it's not an effective 9.5 feet. You've got lights, you've got benches, you've got door swings to address. So that's where we're trying to get some additional sidewalk width. We are limited with, we've got parking that goes right to the sidewalk. It's already angled parking. And then also we've got some issues with the traffic lane widths and just trying to get people in and out of the parking spaces as well. So the proposed section looks very similar. This is, and keep in mind, this is preliminary at this point, so we are definitely open to recommendations. But it's basically looking at narrowing some of the driving lanes to provide additional space for the sidewalk, to basically increase the effective width of the sidewalk to where we can properly handle ADA and if we have stair and landing combinations. And we are limited, unfortunately we can't move the face of the building and get more width, so we have 80 feet to work with, and that's, we're trying to be as selective as we can without impacting parking. This is a rendering that was from the master plan showing, some of the decorative crosswalks, the improvement to the curb returns to help with truck traffic, landscaping. You'll see the decorative traffic signal being the black control arms instead of the typical polished steel. And as we mentioned before, that's where we'll be coordinating with MoDOT, and Michael and I and the rest of the design team will be meeting with MoDOT because they are responsible for the traffic signal underneath this separate project. Again, you'll see a lot of this incorporated if you're walking along Commercial Street, where you've got the basically it's a utility corridor with the brick pavers. So if the line ever needs to be if it needs to be accessed, you don't have to tear out concrete. You can take out pavers to access that line. You'll also see some of the areas where there's some accent pavers mixed in with the concrete to make it more aesthetically pleasing. These plans, they're kind of hard to see on the exhibit, but this is just kind of the current state. This is what we've submitted to the city. I believe it's about right now we're already at a 75 to 80 sheet plan set, and we're at 50%. So it is a significant undertaking to create bid documents for contractors. And this is just the Commercial to Sycamore section. This really just shows a blow up of the scope of the project. It's being the 2-block section. Some of the items we are trying to incorporate, you'll see up here for the bathroom facility at the Liberty bathroom facility, to incorporate that Ozark giraffe stone into concrete seat walls for planters. Instead of having benches, we'll try to fit, we're working on areas to identify that can be used as a kind of a combo where we get the benefit of having the landscaping, but also be able to use a seating surface as well. Look at incorporating stamped concrete sidewalks. Basically, it'll have the brick paver look, but it'll be less for the city to maintain because pavers are very difficult long-term to maintain, especially when you have lots of utilities, underground utilities, water, sewer, items that would cause potential settlement for the brick pavers. And then I mentioned the brick paver utility corridor, which we're going to build off of from what's already been built out there as underneath the previous phases. Furnishings, in areas where we can't look at the seat walls, we'll try to incorporate benches as much as possible. Those benches are commonly used. There's people sitting on them all the time. They'll be composite material, something that holds up and it's easy to maintain. Bike racks, trash cans as well. So we're working with the city staff to make sure we're incorporating the the proper furnishings that obviously that are along Commercial, but Main Street is next in line. Trying to improve the signage and build off of the momentum from previous phases, incorporating the same look and style was set in the master plan, so nothing has changed there. We will be looking at replacing the wood poles with a wood-like look steel pole. It holds up a lot better over time. The weathered poles are pretty tough in this environment with the freeze thaw and with the weather we get in this area. And honestly, it's come far enough along that you can put a steel pole in there with a wood finish on it that you can't even tell without touching the pole that it's a actual steel pole. But it'll help it as far as overall maintenance requirements for the city. Looking at the lighting, you've already seen the light style that's out there on previous phases, so we're not changing from that. Accent lighting underneath the seat walls to be able to invite tourists, to come at night into these areas to really build on the operating hours, allows businesses to stay open longer, helps have more opportunities for capturing these guests, allows them to hang out in the downtown area more. And right now, I think everybody can see that when you go to the landing, there's a lot of people there. And downtown will be, some places stay open, but it'll certainly be something that grows by having these enhancements. Stuff as simple as lighting can have a big impact. This is a picture, the string lighting is a picture that a lot of communities are going with because it makes the downtown area more inviting at night. So it's something that's easy to incorporate and works with the existing infrastructure. So that's an option we're looking into and working with the city staff as well. And then obviously we talked about making sure we're incorporating the memorial items. So if you go out to the park, you'll see the military placards that used to be at Main and Commercial, trying to get those back over into the Main and Commercial area so they're highly visible. So working with the city staff and the downtown district to look at ideal locations for placement. And then obviously we have a lot of commemorative plaques to incorporate through this segment. And so we're going to be incorporating that in conjunction with city staff to make sure these are not forgotten. And so these are taken out of storage and incorporated downtown. And then these are some of the landscape materials that has recently been installed. And so we're going with the same kind of overall theme and going with the same planting that was recently installed. So these are the types of plants that work really well in this area, and that Cindy's done a great job of vetting these products to use on future phases as well, so everything looks cohesive. And we get into the restrooms. You'll see the drawings up here, but this is just a rendering showing what this restroom could potentially look like. Keep in mind, these are very preliminary at this point. So we're just wanting to, it's a lot easier to provide feedback when you have a preliminary concept in front of you about what you would like to see. And we're working in conjunction with the city staff as well to come up with ideas that look good, but they're, from a maintenance perspective, that it's not going to become an eyesore within a couple of years without continual heavy maintenance. So this is one of the options. This is the plan looking at where this option would be at. This would be north of the existing bathroom facility. We're also looking at potentially building this adjacent to the existing bathroom facility and then coming back and demoing the existing bathroom facility to provide a place to put basically offset the handicap parking so we don't lose parking in the meantime. And you'll see these bathrooms are usually about 4 or 5 stalls, or on the men's side, you'll have 3 or 4 urinals and 2 or 3 stalls as well. So they're at least double the size of the existing bathrooms that are out there right now without having major impacts or any impacts to the parking. This is another option that is building on the existing bathroom facility. This is if you were to basically put a new facade on the existing bathroom and go in and add a new bathroom on the side of it. So this would obviously be something we would have to look at where we get that additional parking back. But this is just an option that we're exploring with city staff. So we're definitely interested to get any feedback that any of the business owners can provide tonight or in the upcoming weeks. And this is a layout showing kind of some different elevation views. One item to note is the breezeway in this location would not be ideal because it walks into an alley. So we would actually close that off with a solid wall on the backside, so you don't have the opportunity to go through the breezeway and create a potential safety issue where you have, minimal sight distance and vehicles driving back in the alley. But it is preliminary at this point, so we just wanted to make sure that we put something on paper so it's easy for people to review and provide feedback on. The schedule, we touched on this earlier. This is the biggest challenge with this project is the schedule. This is one of the items that Michael and I, from day one, have been working together on trying to squeeze the schedule down because it is very aggressive. So far, we've been successful in meeting our deadlines. I don't anticipate any hurdles because one of the big items was that we don't know going into a project is the utility relocations and coordinating with the utility companies. Well, we had very good meetings with minimal impact to any of the utility companies, so that really eliminated a potential major item for risk. So design schedule, we've kind of actually shrunk it down from 8 months to 6 months already from what we anticipated. This project we're submitting final plans as early as October for the city to review, get this out on the street, so contractors have adequate time to bid this project before the holidays, and then also to get their contract in place so they can start construction right after the first of the year, and really construction spanning from January to May with substantial completion where all the solid surfaces, sidewalks, roadways, planting beds, bathroom facility, anything we're showing in the design is built. There will be some touch-up items, punch list, as well as potentially the landscaping to, the plantings, everything to get those touched up. But our goal is to have the downtown improvement projects done in time for the Memorial Day holiday. And so that's really something we're not willing to waver off of. And that's how we're going to also design our contract documents. There will be liquidated damages for contractors. So it will be very costly for them to try to exceed the schedule. Our next steps, we're going to use any comments, feedback that we get this evening. We'll incorporate those, work with city staff, address the comments. So if you haven't picked up a flyer, make sure you get a flyer. There's a questionnaire. It's basically a repeat questionnaire of what was done back in probably 2013 for the master plan process. So the vision remains the same as what was in the master plan. There may be some new business owners that weren't around during the master plan, so we want to make sure that we get their feedback as well. We will continue to coordinate with utility companies. We'll be reaching out to MoDOT as well and working with the city on setting up those meetings. We will also be setting up one-on-one meetings with each of the property owners. So I know the city has a good contact list, but if you have new contact information, if you like to be emailed versus called or whatever, if you have preferences there, make sure that we have that information because that's how we'll be getting in touch with you. We will be continuing to work on final design because there's really no float in our schedule. So by float, I mean free time. So we don't have any downtime. We're being as efficient as possible. And then we'll work on the bid documents, work in conjunction with the city to bid the project, make sure we get good bids from contractors, help vet any bids that come through, and then hopefully award and start the project and go through construction, working in partnership with the city and the contractor to make sure the business owners are not impacted, and to basically try to minimize the impact on all the business owners. So with that said, that's everything I wanted to cover, and I will just kind of open it up to general discussions. If anybody has specific questions, I do ask if you can come down, state your name, what business you're associated with, and speak into the microphone. So thank you very much.
A round of applause for Todd. Todd's done significant work, so thank you very much. Couple things I want to highlight really quickly is I want to say thank you to the mayor and the board for attending this evening, especially the mayor and administration for saying, hey, here's the green light a little over a year ago as we went through the budget items and said, let's go. I want to thank the downtown people that really have stepped up and got my knowledge up to speed. And again, the master plan's awesome. One of the things that didn't get developed all the way before you were here was last time there was a text app that allowed the people that were working every day communicate what the construction companies are doing or what work's getting done, or if there's a rain delay, snow delay. We might end up with some of those things or it's too cold, but we hope not and our fingers are crossed. By providing us with your email address, we will make sure that you get that code. We are waiting for FCC clearance. I've never heard of such a thing, but we have to have it. So we've been waiting, and thanks to Wayne Glenn, he said it worked very well before, so we suggest that, and we'll make sure as soon as it's up and running, we start communicating that way. I also wanted to introduce, or let you guys introduce yourself. The two aldermen from your ward are here. So Artie and Glenn. And then, of course, the mayor and Alderman LeBlanc. So, yes, it's very, very, very high-paced. And we hope that you see a significant improvement to your business. We're seeing a surge of people investing money down there. You'll see me down there. If you haven't seen me already, I'll be down there again multiple times, or Wayne, or Cheryl, or Todd. So thank you again for your time, and we'll open it up from this point forward. Unless the mayor or the board have anything they'd like to say. So,
Anxious to hear comments.
thank you.
Yeah, with that, we'll open it up for comments.
Go ahead, Steve. Start us off, Steve.
Thanks for having this meeting. First of all, we're really excited to finally get our part of this done, and glad to have Great River involved with this. They did a great job on phase 3, and looking forward to being right on target with completing Memorial Day. And thanks for the city. They've been great to work with, also getting information out to us. So thank you, Michael, and glad to have Wayne back on board again, and looking forward to working with him. And Mayor and Alderman, thank you guys for pushing this forward and getting this going. We're very grateful. The underground needs it badly. We're excited to not have to hold our breath every time we get a major rain, the water coming up to our doors. And we know the sewer system is in bad need, antiquated, so looking forward to that. And I am Steve Hartley, 7825 Cozy Cove. One question, is MoDOT, is that intersection going to happen? Are they going to be involved with this as far as, I wasn't sure whether they are going to be part of this, or is it next year?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It is planned for construction, I believe, is it next year, Michael, or is it the year after?
We did contact MoDOT, made them known that we want black poles, because you have to order those ahead of time and get the funding there, so they are well aware of this project. Unfortunately, the grants and money timing would not match with this project with aggressive timeline, and I don't think it was appropriate for us to wait for MoDOT to catch up to us. So, but definitely the ducts and what they need to operate their equipment, it's very important to know that that intersection is MoDOT's intersection. So half is ours and half is theirs, and they own the roadbed. The other thing that came up just recently too is that the sidewalks that are along where the old fudge shop was taken down, those were added to the project going both directions there, so to the alleyways, so that's important to highlight. The other thing I want to make sure, I don't know if I heard it, but I know it is, there are brand new water lines, so going down the center, so I just want to make sure everybody knew that too. Great.
So Michael, the project is going to be completed next May, right, give or take?
That's right, major.
Your position is it will be completed. Todd's position is we're going to try really, really hard.
Yeah.
So
And then the weatherman says
so
a
everything will be
different
done in May, and then in '26, all the work will be done for MoDOT to come in and change out the signal itself.
That's correct, yeah,
No,
their
no,
side of the street.
Yeah, no additional underground work or. that'll
Right, underneath, their roadbed could be, underneath our roadbed, no, so
Okay.
if we go back to the picture, it probably helps quite a bit. There's the one that shows the limits. Oh, there we go. So, if you look at the red squiggly line, a lot of people that saw it go out said, what is that? That's exactly how it is. We own this corner here and this corner here, and that right here is ours.
Of course.
And then MoDOT owns Main Street going up the hill, Hamburger Hill, all the way up to 65. We do share part of the responsibility for sidewalks there. And the sidewalks in downtown all the way in front of City Hall are actually our sidewalks, but they continue to spend money with us, which we greatly appreciate because it lessens the burden. So when we talk about, you see new location that's on there, a new location, you know, it was time for us to go ahead and take care of the sidewalks and the agreement with MoDOT that we would take care of this part without working through them.
Yeah, I just think it's important to make sure our expectations are clear, right?
Yeah, it's a moment away.
Yep.
So would there be work in that intersection since we own half, or that have to wait? For a
Would you
year?
speak into the mic, please, Steve?
Would there be work on that intersection done with this phase 4?
So when we contact MoDOT, so MoDOT has a utility cabinet that's here. They'll give us direction on what type of boring or under piping that they need to go one way or another. They may choose to go to a different corridor. It is their asset that's on the property. It's back from the original agreement with MoDOT.
We'd just hate to see it's all done and have to come back and redo that intersection. That's the point I'm.
Right, so we can, our job limits end right here. And that's the end of it. So MoDOT, if they chose to overlay coming through here or change to do it, that's them.
Well, I know that corner, that a lot of large trucks and campers, that right
They
turn. Struggle. That's a real challenge, and that looks like that's MoDOT's deal, right, Michael? Okay. Okay. Oh, my, yes. We see it many times a week. Will the project start then on West Main going east, like just right at that intersection, and move toward East Main? Is that the logical progression of it?
Yeah, that's what we're currently looking at, is starting with the western half and then going to the eastern half.
I think that's important because we can get that Main Street, Commercial Street intersection opened up and can get traffic down South Commercial, and then can get them to the landing also, since that East Main will still be under construction. And that's a thought for you guys too, right? Okay, great. Looking forward to working closely with the city and with Great River to make sure that the wayfinding signage, directional signage, is very clear. Any idea on which side of West Main would be started on first? Would the road be done first and then sidewalks?
That's a very good question. We're going to be, some of that falls under means and methods with the contractors, but there's going to be verbiage in there as far as maintaining access at all times for pedestrian and vehicular traffic. We are anticipating a contractor's probably going to do it in quadrants. So break both blocks up in half, do a half at a time, jump onto the other half, then follow down the next section, which would be down below the intersection of Commercial and Main, and do the same thing where they do a half and then jump over. That would allow them to be able to accommodate both pedestrians and traffic throughout the duration of construction.
Just driving over here tonight, there was, I don't think it was a dually truck, but it was a large truck. And as we came down South Commercial, of course, those sidewalks were widened and the driving lanes were narrowed and have to drive around that. But that's just a great example of, well, guys, if we can not narrow our driving lanes, especially in that busy Main Street, it just really, it really causes some problems. Sure. And it doesn't have to be a dually truck that sticks out. So if we can work around somehow not narrowing the driving lanes, boy, that would be so beneficial to downtown.
Yep.
That's all for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Who's next? We're really hoping to get input, suggestions, attaboys, you guys are nuts, something.
Hi, Chuck Myers, 106 West Main. Just curious on the intersection there of Main and Veterans, is there any plans at all to do like an archway to basically signal you are in downtown, that you could see from a distance, an archway that says historic downtown or anything at all like that?
So in this current plan, we didn't. We were more looking at like some of the lighting features. So when you're coming over the hill and you look down, you can see that. Some of the talks about the lighting features that were there that kind of crisscross or over that is that we could do different colors, so you could have the different seasons and you feel a sense of arrival of a true downtown. So permanent structure going over it, no, not at this time.
Okay, all right. Well, that was.
Sure. You know what, that's a very, what's that? No, I think that's a very good suggestion that I'd like, I would encourage some discussion on that. Thanks for that suggestion. Yeah, that'd look nice.
Yes, I'm Beth Burgess with Main Street Flea Market there at 106 East Main. And I would say that probably one of our biggest concerns will be how to conduct the business during the construction. We have 50 vendors that come and go every day. I have 5 to 10 people carrying lots of large loads of merchandise in the front door. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that with the street closed. And also, it's like originally, we kind of thought that it was going to be during January and February, which are slower months. But March is spring break. It's one of our biggest months of the year that we really count on for getting us past those slow months. And even April and May are still very good months. It's like we don't want to talk numbers, but we have bigger than a small business. We have like a $600,000 gross down there. This is going to be half a year's worth of sales for us that's going to take a major hit. It's like we need some kind of like half the street open at one time or something. We need some way. It can't be closed off because during the last, even with Commercial Street, when that was done, they blocked our street off and we had to go down there and move the barrier because there was no reason that people couldn't be parking there. Because when people couldn't drive to our store, we just had no business.
Mike, would you address that?
Yeah, so absolutely. So Todd and I have talked about this in kind of great length. When you choose the means and methods for the contractor, you're telling them their timeline to go. What our proposal was to say we do it in quadrants. So when you're doing in quadrants, maybe you're going east to west, one section goes, and that's the detour around that, and then the next section goes, and then the next section. We can write it that way and ask them for that, and then we can also ask them to come up with a maybe like a value engineering for time, time versus production for them. We appreciate what you're saying is, we wish that we could start January 1st and January 30th, we could go. That was one of the reasons we chose concrete because number one, it's going to last a lot longer than any other surface. And number two, asphalt companies don't open up till March. Yeah. So we are hoping for significant completion, as Todd said, close to spring break. But I would be remiss to stand here today and tell you it's going to happen that way. If we have the same season that we had this last year with, not a whole lot of cold days in there, at the end of the day, we want to do it once and do it right, and we're going to control the mix designs that are going into it.
Yeah, and I think we all appreciate that. I think there's been a lot of work put into the design. It's very nice, but at the same time, we have to be practical. There's a lot of new businesses in our block. It's like, I don't know if they can suffer through that, and even us, this is going to be a hit.
Yeah, when you say suffer, I'm not sure what you're visualizing and what they're planning.
I guarantee you our sales will cut by half. Because people
Really?
will not walk, not to our type of business where they're going to be carrying things out, and that's my feeling. It's like we don't know until it happens, but we suffered just through the commercial street when just our parking was blocked in that block. So I can't even imagine, plus with having everybody's doorways, we're obviously going to when they re-concrete and do all that, we have one entrance in there, it's like, we're going to have to close. It's like we have full-time employees that count on their paychecks, and it's like I can lay them off and have them draw unemployment, but there is an economic impact here more than just the beautification, and I think the businesses need to be taken into consideration.
Well, they're clearly taken into consideration.
Yes, no, and I know
I
the
was
project is for us, I
I was
understand.
shocked to hear that you were anticipating a 50% loss in the revenue.
I would be surprised if it's only 50%.
Michael?
I also hope that as a group and as we get up and going, that we talk about what does that social media look like, or what driver can we reach out to the DBA? Can we reach out to other sources that say, hey, it's the construction sale and make it fun? I know I watched a car dealership near me in Ozark make a show of a 1.5-year renovation, and it still drove people in there. With investing money in the front of any business from 76 to downtown, I think you're going to see the rewards on the backside of it. So a little bit of suffering to get the reward.
If we survive.
We can also look at incorporating like short-term drop-off loading areas. So that way you still have that, maybe it's a 15-minute pickup window, because a lot of times the contractor is okay with that. It's just something that we need to identify, so that way, it is going to have a major impact, but at least you have an option for people to pick up stuff at the door and then get out of there, because that could have
That would help.
Okay.
If the street were still open.
Yeah. Yep. Well, with going the quadrant approach, more than likely what would happen is the parking would be closed, but the street, so through traffic would remain open. You'd have short-term loading areas.
That would be a help.
Okay. Yep. We can incorporate that.
We are making plans to try to do some things in the alley. We do have a back door, but shoplifting is a concern. I cannot leave the back door open unattended. It's like I can't really afford to hire somebody to watch the back door. We've got some issues there. That's supposed to be a one-way street behind us, but Hilton drives all the cars up there, so it's a total mess all the time. It needs to probably be made one way, and they need to drive the cars around and down. I don't know, there's issues, but we'll all deal with it because we don't have a choice.
Yeah, and we are going to do everything in our power to put a good set of documents together as far as providing direction for contractors to have the most minimal impact on business owners. We will do everything we can.
And you do, you seem very sincere.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you guys will try.
Yeah, we will do everything in our power. And also, I may have some ideas that we can discuss when we have our one-on-one meeting as well, to handle your specific concerns.
We also own the alley between those two businesses, and we can talk on this on one-on-one. There's definitely a water problem there that needs to be addressed because it flows right out onto the sidewalk.
Okay, yep, we will definitely address that as well. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, just as one side comment on that, the idea of alleys and traffic control, maybe we could review that as part of the project. If there's already abuse for flowing the wrong way in a one-way street, maybe we've got to do some enforcement or signage or something as part of the construction project.
Absolutely, easily achievable.
Brandy Beebe with the Branson Cafe. On one of the renderings of what it looked like on the corner there, Branson Cafe and Farmhouse are right there. There was some trees that are in the design. And it may be just an angle, but my concern with those trees is that they cover the businesses. Will those be out far enough that they don't, or is that something?
Hey, Chad, real quick. It's a rendering from the master plan. I know which one it is. Thanks. Yeah. Is it in the beginning? No, yeah, other way. A picture is 1,000 words. Yep. So that's from the master plan from 2013. That was a guiding document.
But so, I mean, will there be trees there like that, or will they continue the beds of the flowers? Or
I know that area will have a landscape bed. I'm not sure, we'll have to look at sight distance and everything for trees, because obviously visibility is everything, and safety. So that will be something we address as well. So, yep.
Awesome, thank you.
The engineers and us love the artists, so.
Go ahead, Steve. Great comments, thank you.
Just a couple other things I see in my notes. Is there possible with this phase, we could add a few more benches and places to sit? The benches seem like they're always full and totally being utilized, and that's what we want them to be, but I think we could use more.
Yeah, so we're looking at incorporating some seat walls, and so those are even better than benches in the planter areas, because they're a long stretch where you can have, similar to what's been done on the 76 project out by the Ferris wheel and Clay Cooper Theater, where there's some of those seat walls, and out by the Titanic as well, because those give a lot of seating based on that. And it really serves two purposes. You have a landscape bed there, so it keeps people out of the planter areas, but it also gives an opportunity to sit down around the planting areas, look back at the businesses, and also accent lighting underneath those seat walls, just for safety.
Great.
So,
Great.
yep, great
Thank
question.
you. Thank you. So excited to hear about further work on the Albury bathroom, and that was such a great Band-Aid. I mean, it was, when people ask, you're kind of, it's behind the building. But it's very nicely done. Looking forward to more improvements. We've talked, Michael, about the pipes are very antiquated there underneath that alley, and hope that that's going to be addressed also, and maybe would like some kind of idea about a time frame on that.
Absolutely. So Kendall Powell, that's outside the scope for this project here, but Kendall Powell has a pipe replacement or a sleeve installation project that's going on, and I'm going to get you guys together so he can give you a true timeline on where that is. So it's in his master plan as it goes down. I know just recently they did quite a few of them, but I do not believe the one behind your business has been done just yet. So.
Well, they're just like the rest of downtown. There may be some wood underneath there. Who knows? Yeah. And I know when there's an issue with that bathroom, it always generally backs up into ours also. And so would appreciate speaking with them.
Absolutely, I will make sure he reaches out.
We know parking is an issue downtown, and it's going to become more of an issue. Would there be a possibility of considering free parking in the parking garage for downtown businesses during the duration of Phase 4, just to make sure we're leaving all parking possible for our guests.
One thing, Alderman Lucas and I, when we've been walking around talking with merchants, we were kind of surprised. A lot of merchants are not aware that you can get parking passes for, I think it's $20 or $25 a month in that garage for your employees. And it was pretty obvious to us, just to kind of flag certain merchants here, that you got employees parking right in front of the store in some cases. There was no doubt about that as we walked around. So I think this is a prime opportunity for every shop owner, everyone, to say, let's get passes for our employees. And if that becomes an economic burden, talk to Alderman Lucas and I, and we'll see what we can do about it. But I think certainly if we can get the employees out of those parking lots and parking stalls, that would go a long ways.
Well, if you go back, Jim Owen complained about this in the 1940s. So it's not something new for now or Streetscape 2025. But it may take some incentivization to have them park, and maybe free parking might do that. I mean, it's always a challenge, and it happens. It's a reality, like it or not. And if we could just consider some kind of a plan to help incentivize them to, and not to pay anything. It's the greatest value in town, 67 cents a day to park in our parking garage, but it's underutilized.
Yep.
And would be very helpful to make sure that we were leaving all the spaces available for our guests during this time.
Yeah, it's a point well taken. We could use your help communicating that to all the merchants beyond the ones that are here today. But like I said, if it's an economic issue, I'm sure Alderman Lucas and I would be happy to take that up.
When do you guys anticipate starting the one-on-one meetings?
It'll likely be right after the 4th. Obviously, next week, there's a lot of people out of town and vacation, so likely after the 4th. Probably, I would say, really the week after the 4th, and basically, we'll want to have them wrapped up by probably August 1st at the latest. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
This is exciting stuff. Let's hear some more. I'm super excited to spend $5 million and make it beautiful. As the alderman said the other night, that's the only time we get a round of applause for spending money, so I love it.
Another question I thought of, and you may have touched on this a while ago, as far as the utilities go, the power lines and all that stuff, is there any talk of putting those underground? It's like behind our, we've got the alleyway that runs parallel to Main Street right there behind it. And where we park behind our building, there is a telephone pole that, I mean, it's right there. It's bumped and hit a lot. Is there any talk to run any of the power lines underground?
So thanks for bringing that up. Todd hit it just a little bit. We did reach out to all the utilities ahead of time, which is something that we've kind of changed around with the city instead of waiting till after. The Liberty, correct, is down there. What they had told us is there was an opportunity to replace some poles that were outdated. There's one on Veterans by the Fudge Shop that is almost dilapidated and causes a few issues, and they're looking into the cost of that, but that is their grid that they maintain. As far as digging them underground in the alleyways, they had no interest in it at this time at their cost, so it would be burdened on the city, and it's outside the scope for Todd.
Okay. Well, I know during the last phase, they came up right up to behind, right where that telephone pole is, and they resurfaced that alleyway with concrete. Is that going to continue on? It was supposed to on the first phase. They said, once we start the Main Street phase, then the rest of that is going to be taken care of. Has that been thrown out as well, or?
It has not, and when we meet one-on-one, I'd love to see what's there if we need to do some maintenance or take a look at that with you.
I was just curious because, I mean, there's some potholes and stuff like that down there, but there are, there's a lot of smell coming up still out of the sewer drains back there, the storm drains. I know that I've been in contact with the city for a long time. There was a grease trap apparently that was leaking into the storm drain or something, and I guess that's what was causing the smell. But the smell is still there. That's why I was just curious about if there was going to be any digging up that has to be done back there to resurface the road or put underground utilities, that maybe they could look into fixing that smell. Because we park right over that grid, and when you get out of your car and it slaps you in the face, it's like you've walked and stepped right into a portalette. It's just bad.
Thank you for that information. And,
Thank you.
Mr. Hartley?
Michael, this is an exciting time for downtown, and I think it's a great opportunity for a city, a downtown association, a chamber partnership in marketing our downtown. There is investment going on downtown, but if we can get the good word out of that we are still a historic downtown, but we've got a facelift. There's lots of opportunity. The downtown, the historic district is like an experience in itself. And I think an involvement with all the city, the chamber, the downtown association, a marketing plan to get the good word out that, hey, we're really good, but there's lots more opportunity downtown, and this is like the icing of the cake, and just that coming together with all the parties, and really a strong effort, I think, would pay off with getting the kind of entrepreneurs that we would like to see in downtown Branson.
And that's perfect to bring that up. I see Lisa sitting back there, comms department. Also, you know, like at the end of the day, I live in Ozark, but I listen to the Branson channel to fall asleep at the end of the night. So that's as crazy as that is, because I learn a little bit of something new all the time. You know, you're on there, Johnny Morris is on there, all the different types, the trolley's on there. You know, you have all the right players here listening to this story, and maybe we do update the trolley story to say, hey, historic downtown is here. I know the one that's still on there says Clockers is still open during the renovation. So that's my favorite one, is my eyes doze off. So we'll get that updated and work together with Lisa, maybe taking a lead role in that with your group.
Thank you.
And I was going to add too, Steve, thanks for bringing that up, but you know, I'm actually in Ward 3, so I really have nothing to do with downtown. However, I would venture to say that every alderman on this board is more concerned with what goes on in the city as opposed to our particular wards, because we're all encompassing. Like we're not looking at boundaries, we're looking at how can we support each other and how can we do that. And I can tell you the mayor and I have had meetings this week about that very thing. You know, we're all in agreement that, you know, downtown is like that diamond in the rough that we just polish it up, and it's one of the second most popular reasons people come to Branson. So we just need to put a little polish on this thing, and this is that first step to do that. And we're looking at ways that we can enhance that, from making it easier to get people, you know, I say feet on the street, you know, get feet on the street and butts in seats, you know, feet on the street and butts in theater seats, you know, that's my goal, that's what I want. And so, but we're having conversations literally weekly, almost every single day, about those very things, because we believe, like you, that downtown is, you know, it's our little mecca, and we want to highlight it as much as we can. I mean, you know, last year was the 75th anniversary of the Adoration Parade, and, you know, leading into it, I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if we were like Christmas City kind of thing, you know, like look like Silver Dollar City downtown. We kind of missed the boat on a little bit, but man, I mean, that's the kind of, we need business owners, residents, and everyone to get behind this, because it's going to take a collaborative effort to make this happen. I mean, you know, the city has a role in this, but it's really going to be working hand in hand with the business owners, with the residents of the community, and get everyone behind this. And if we can do that, like, sky's the limit as to what we can do. I mean, we already know how our economy is. We're all very versed in it, and we just have to exploit our superpowers, and downtown is one of our major superpowers that can really not just put us on the map, but really expand the vision for what Branson can be and will be in the future.
Steve, I'll tell you, I'll echo that. We're spending a lot of brain cells right now. I'm spending mine. myself and along with many others believe that downtown is a gem, it's a diamond, it just needs a little polishing. And so very soon, you're going to be hearing some things that we're going to be suggesting to provide you all with some polish.
Well, and the other thing
You bet.
the other thing I wanted to mention, and I think we talked about it when we were visiting with you initially, Steve, that we're going to be remodeling downtown, but we're not going to be remaking it. You know, we want Branson downtown to retain its historic flavor. And we don't want to take anything away from it with what's going on. And I know that's what Todd and Mike are looking at as well. We want Branson to stay Branson.
The last statistics I saw from the chamber, and they've been pretty, when we get the quarterly update from the chamber, you can go back several quarters and the numbers remain fairly consistent. And what the numbers show is our visitors say, 14% of our visitors say historic downtown was a reason to come to Branson. 42% say, when I was in Branson, I visited downtown. So that little bit of polish is, the mindset is increase the experience of those that go downtown, create more memories, and make it more of a reason for not only them, but others to come to Branson, right? There's many people that, no matter where they travel, they like to seek out the historic downtown areas. So we've got a few things in the works that you'll be hearing very soon. Because this board is committed to providing some polish for that little gem we have down there.
And just to add a little bit to that, you know, the level of hospitality that you create culturally within each of your businesses is going to matter hugely. Because we could put as much polish and paint on the outside. It's once these visitors get inside, the experience. We talk about, you know, visually they're getting this experience of this new facelift. And every time they enter into one of your businesses, the experience they have there is what they leave with. It's not what you sold them. It's not what they seen. It's not what they talked about. It's how they felt when they left there. And that's what we want to create. That's the culture, and that's what Artie was saying, the flavor of downtown. You know, that's why I said it's a collaborative effort. So it's going to be incumbent on you guys as leaders in the community to train your staff, to just over-index on that hospitality. Not in a gross way, but you know what I'm saying, like, be sweet. You don't have to be super sweet, just a little sweet kind of thing. But I think that's going to be a huge thing that's going to, along with what we do physically to the buildings and to the landscape, what you guys do. And it's a lot easier when everything's beautiful outside to be a lot happier inside. So that's why I think that it's perfect timing. I think it's like the perfect storm meeting. And that's, again, what's going to do what the mayor said, polish that gym and really make downtown and highlight it. And I would really love to see that historical downtown Branson arch over the street. That's all I'm saying.
I would too. So can I see a show of hands? How many businesses are in the room? Gosh, I was hoping there was more. I know what I'm about to ask has been brought up for decades. I need to get a sense from downtown, which I think we will hear soon, of with the polishing of downtown, the goal is to drive more traffic downtown. So we have to deal with parking and all those things to make this happen. But is there an app, if I think that we're dealing with a chicken and the egg, if there was more foot traffic downtown after 5 o'clock, are there at least some or a number of businesses that would stay open? Yes? Because I mean, if the traffic stops, I'm closing my store, right? I just can't imagine closing my store at 5 if there's walking traffic 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And between us, I'm not overpromising, I'm just sharing a vision of mine. For Christmas, I see downtown as like a gingerbread house, right? I mean, there's a lot of downtowns that are just really, really neat. And I don't know why we can't do that. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's rare. You're doing excellent. I mean, that's the interesting thing. The string lights, when Todd and I were originally talking, it's not in your master plan. And, you know, the last year I drive down early in the morning, Public Works is highly involved in the fantastic street lighting that you guys have for the snowflakes and so on and so forth. And I'm like, every time I drive over that hill, I'm like, how many street lights are out and what bulbs are out? And, you know, to really accent somewhere a sense of arrival, you are the heartbeat of Branson. I truly believe that. Everything happens and it goes through downtown, and it's exciting to see everybody here.
Yep. Any other questions, comments? This is not the end, right? This is the initial stage that we're going to have many conversations along the way. The more input you will provide, the better services you'll receive, right? We need to hear what your thoughts are. We're not doing this in spite of you. We're doing it because of you, right?
I'm excited for FAST.
I'm very excited.
Like, I know these guys right here aren't. They're like, what are you guys doing? So, you know, I hope and pray for a great winter, a mild winter. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
So,
Pray for a mild winter.
anyone else? All right, with that being said, we thank you for coming out. Please make sure your email addresses are there. Todd's group's here, I'm here, Matt's here, can answer any questions on some of the stuff you've seen.
And I'd also add, Artie's card and my cards are in the back. If you haven't gotten them already, please grab one. We're always happy to advocate for you, listen to your issues, whatever they are, even if it's not related to construction downtown.
And I want to thank IT and admin and police chief for coming out and providing all the services tonight. It's above and beyond. And thanks for recording this so you can go back and look at it.
Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. We'll hang around here for a while. If you got any questions, want to look at the exhibits, we're here at your disposal. So thank you.